What's up, man? It's your big brother K-Rino. The question is, who's training you? Who's training you? And I gotta ask that question because people might say the first answer people might give before they even answer the question directly, they'll say, "Well, man, ain't nobody training me. What you mean, who's training? I ain't trained by nobody." Because they hear that word "trained" and they look at that as being like a negative. It's only a negative if the training is improper training. If you're being trained in the wrong way, you're being trained with falsehood and negativity and all that crap, then it's a bad thing. But you can also be trained in a good way as well. Unfortunately, the majority of this world has been falsely trained. We've been falsely educated. We've been lied to. We've been shaped in iniquity, as they say. And that has led us down a bunch of crazy roads in our lives. It's led us to make the bad seem good and the good seem bad. And we will actually argue on behalf of the negative training because it's been so instilled in us throughout all our life. We will stand on it to the end because in some cases we don't know any better. We just like, oh man, that's just how I was taught. That's how I was raised. So the question is, who trained you? Now, the obvious answer, people might say, well, man, my mama taught me that. My daddy taught this. My daddy, my uncle, my grandmother. And on the surface, directly mouth to mind, yeah, that's true. But for them to teach it to you, somebody had to teach it to them. And so on and so on and back and back and back all the way up. So even when we receive direct information and direct training and teaching from someone close to us, they got it from somewhere too. And we get sensitive a lot of times if someone questions what you learned from your mama, what you learned from your grandma. Man, don't be talking about mama. Man, my mama raised me. She showed me how, and that's true. And did the best that she could. Fathers too did the best that they could. Meant no harm. Had every intention of training and teaching you right. But and for the most part, the basic fundamental principles were right on point. But there are other parts that may have been off based on the deception that's been imposed on all of us. And those are the things that, we got to clear up and clean up in some instances because now the generations are going further on. So now you have children and you want to, if you can, break that cycle of deception. You want to break that cycle of deception. So when you come into the knowledge, when you come into the understanding that we have been mistrained and falsely trained and tricked and mistaught, then the first thing that happens, you get mad, you get angry, you confused, you upset. Then the second thing that happens is you seek to learn the truth. You want to find out exactly what's been hidden from us. Then you want to find out, well, why did they hide this from us? Who did it and why? What was the purpose? So when you find that out, now you either become real scary because you're still tied to that enemy, or you get courageous and you decide, okay, from here on out, I'm bombing on these cats that have been deceiving and tricking and lying to us all these years. Because those things have had a direct effect on our position in this world. Black folks in particular, it's had a direct effect on our position in this world because a lot of the things that we were told to do were not the right thing to do. A lot of who we were told we were and who we were not was not the truth. So when you don't have that identity, when you don't have that sense of identity, that sense of self, then there's no way you can reach your full potential. You can't max out as a person when you don't even know who your person is. It's just a fact. So now, when you start to see the behavior patterns that take place in our community, you start to see the influence that a lot of the music has, and the influence that a lot of the TV shows and the things I want, I don't want to say the things we read, because part of that training was to keep us from reading, period. And so a lot of us don't really read like we need to. Even a lot of us who kind of have an understanding of where we are and how we got here, we still don't read as much as we should. I know I don't read as much as I should. So that's just a process, a tactic that has been used to make us lazy in a lot of ways. So who trained you? Well, we go to public schools, we go to uh, colleges and universities, and we go to uh, churches and religious places of worship. And a lot of those places, starting with the schools, the curriculum is not geared towards showing us who we really are. And it's also not geared towards preparing us to build and do for self. It's not geared to that. It's geared towards training you to work for somebody else and training you to contribute to an already existing system that you will never have ownership over. Church is the same way, but in a different way. Who trained you and taught you that God was a ghost? Who trained you and taught you that Jesus had blonde hair and blue eyes? Who trained you and taught you a lot of the fairy tale um, stories that we have taken to be literal, not understanding that they have a different type of meaning, and we have no way. We're just thinking we had no way of deciphering what that really meant. Who trained us to run around with that? See? So if we get down to the bones of it and decide who really did that and come up with the understanding of who did that, I won't say decide, learn who really did that, then at that point we'll be like, oh, like ding, it'll hit us. And we'll start to seek out the reversal of that negative training. Because that's the only thing that's going to fix us in this day and age. We got to stop clinging on and holding on to things just because we've always done it. Because it's tradition. It's because mama, daddy, grandma, grandpa, and everybody else did it, and that's just what we do. And, you know, all the way down to our names. Who gave us our names? Who gave us our last names? Who gave us those names? Who trained us to have pride in names that are not ours, that have no connection to us? Who trained us to embrace that? See? All of these things. Who trained us to actively and and just aggressively go against our heritage, where we come from? Who trained us to do that? To hate where we come from and just love America. I'm an American. What's the sister when African American is bad enough, but that was a sister who I can at least respect African American, that term, a little bit, because at least you trying to cling on to some of your history. But there was an actor, she was like, take the African off. I'm just an American. You know, so it's like, who trained her to think like that? See? I'll say one thing, the trainer of us did a real good job. Did a real good job. Because now we're at a point where we are running on autopilot. We're running on automatic. They can just, it's like when the air condition comes on, you got it on auto. It comes on when it needs to come on. It cuts off for a few minutes when it needs to come on, and it comes back on. Did a good job. But we have to do a better job of reversing those thought processes in ourselves and then in our children coming up under us. So that way that cycle can be broke. And when this generation of young people, when they learn it, when they get that understanding, they're going to go to war with it and against it. Because they're not built for the singing and the marching and the humming and all that. They ain't built for that. So right when you think you just, oh man, I'm in control of myself. Nobody tells me what to do. Nobody runs me. Yes, they do. But what you gonna do about it? All right, man. It's your big brother K-Rino. I'll catch y'all real soon. Peace.